Welcome to You Are Your Name. My name is Daken Ariel, and my co-host is Marlowe Shearing. For the next few episodes, we're going to discuss how name is related to creating happy, successful, long-term relationships. Our guest today is Dhorea Delain. She's the senior name consultant at the Society of Caballerians. She's worked with literally thousands of people who have had name reports and balanced their names, and so she's very qualified to discuss the influence of name on our thinking. Thank you for joining us, Dhorea.
My pleasure. Thank you.
First question, how does name relate to our relationships?
Well, that is really an interesting subject because this applies to each and every person. There's so many studies today on the way people think, why they have reactions, why they have tendencies, feelings towards one another. It's just such a misunderstood subject in life, how to create harmony and proper relationships with people. By looking into the Caballerian philosophy, you'll discover the 5 basic truths. They relate to mathematics, language, name, mind, and consciousness. So how does that apply to you and I? Well, it's a discovery that all life is measurable. All life is dimensional, which is mathematical. There's the quantitative aspect to life, and there's the qualitative aspect. What are the qualities? Well, it's how we think, how we speak, how we feel. They're all qualitative. But if you learned that there is 9 basic characteristics that can actually define why you think, why you feel, why you respond, why you have a natural aptitude, then you can actually gain an understanding of how you can have a better relationship within yourself and with others. If you knew that each letter in an alphabet actually had a mathematical component, you would come to appreciate how we respond to invisible forces of intelligence that express through the symbols of your name. After you're born, your parents give you your name. If they understood these mathematical principles, they would come to understand what effect your name is having upon your personality, your desires, your feelings, your thoughts, and your thinking. Wouldn't you want to understand if your name is creating the natural harmony and balance in your life? When you took your first breath of life, you were born into time. Time is mathematical, and it's measurable through the month, day, and year. If you understood the characteristics that you're responding to from your month, day, and year of birth, you would come to realize that you have a natural inner potential. And there are qualities that you're responding to. And if you understood what those qualities were, it would bring a greater flow, a greater ease, a greater relaxation, a greater expression in your life. Some people are meant to be practical. Some people are more meant to be philosophically directed through seeking and searching, even though we're all meant to search for truth. But if you understood what those characteristics were, then you would find a freedom and a flow and a natural fulfillment. Why do people respond and think the way they do? Well, it is based upon 9 basic qualities. And these characteristics can be measurable. If you learned and recognized that you have a certain characteristic, would you not want to know the reason why? Or do we blithely go through life just responding to our feelings? But if you learned that there were 9 qualities that you could understand and define, then you would understand yourself better and your relationship with others. Harmony individually with your friendships, relationship building in business, personal, in marriage, in relationships, can be created through understanding these 9 basic qualities. Because you would know why you think and respond the way you do, what your needs are, what type of a natural vocation or avocation would bring you fulfillment. You would also understand how to make decisions in relationship with other people. and to understand why people are responding the way they do, because you will know why they're thinking the way they are. And so when you understand these mathematical principles, you will be able to interrelate with other people to create better harmony, greater success, and greater fulfillment. So if you learn that there are 9 qualities and what they represent, it's a key to your ability to communicate and understand yourself and others better. So if you have a name that gives you a certain quality relative to the characteristic of the one, then you're going to respond in a certain way. And so the one quality is defined by the natural leadership. It's that independent quality, self-styled, self-reliant. But if it's too much one in a person's makeup, then a person can become a little separated, independent, tending to be strong-willed, and even stubborn in a person's response. A strong desire for independence and leadership.
So let's say you have an inner potential, which is a 1. Your potential is to be a leader. Does that mean you're saying they should have a 1-ish name to allow that to express?
No, that's not what creates balance. The inner potential is the inclination or your reason for being, and it's the quality that should be expressed. But if you have a strong influence of the 1 in your name, it would tend to make you too linear in your approach to life. And there can be such a restriction of the ability to express your finer thoughts and feelings, and your desire for independence and to have independent control would tend to lead you to separate yourself from people. And it tends to create a very independent, strong-willed, and more self-centered quality. But when it's in your birth date, it creates a natural desire for self-creativity, for independence in what you do, and leadership, which is a strength that you have. But when it's in the name, it can create too strong of an influence because it doesn't allow the natural flow of that inner potential.
Relative to names, there's really 2 categories of names. There's mathematically balanced names and mathematically unbalanced names. So the ideal is to have a balanced name, and then it'll bring out the inner potential more clearly.
That's right. That's the purpose of looking into whether your name is allowing the natural flow for your inner potential. Everyone is born for a reason in their life, and there's an inclination and a desire for accomplishment, for fulfillment. And so it has to have a natural vehicle to express through in order to create greater balance and harmony in one's life and fulfillment. How do we think about life? How do we respond? It's from our education as we mature and grow up. But you think about a family with 3 or 4 children, same parents, perhaps same education, same food on the table. But each child can be very, very different, have different needs and interests. And through the principles of the Kabbalah philosophy, you can define why each person has a particular quality and whether their inner potential has a natural flow and expression is dependent upon the mathematical energy of the name in relationship to the birth date.
I have a quote here from Mr. Parker, the founder of the philosophy, that might bear on that point. And the quote runs, "Balance is mathematical, and without balance there cannot be harmony. Bear in mind that numbers and letters combined in harmony through knowledge of this principle harness powerful constructive forces. But without knowledge, the forces, when combined discordantly, become agents of destruction and result in sickness, disease, and failure in the human race, individually and en masse. Without the balance in our thinking, which is created through the name, you're going to always have challenges in relationships. So really, one of the keys to creating that harmony in relationships to have the balance in your own thinking."
That's right. Marlowe, do you have a thought on that?
Well, you mentioned children, so whether it's your nieces and nephews, the neighbors, children that are part of your family, you look at them and you see individual natures and you see qualities of expression. You see the little gaffer that can be the leader, play on his own. You see the one that has shyness or needs encouragement. You see the one that is the class clown or the character that will create fun just to have fun. And so where do those qualities come from? Because each child has such unique expression. And so as Dhorea pointed out, that we're born into life, take that first breath, measurable by that first breath is a power within, but it is the name then that creates the mind and creates those individual qualities, those individual approaches to life, and that individual expression that makes each little gaffer so unique. And then observable from that, as we grow, we become that quality of thinking. And so it is our way of looking at life and our perception. When you study human relations or getting along with people, you recognize that the way you think is quite unique compared to others. And in the Keplerian philosophy, having that opportunity to discover the quality of mathematics involved in our natures, in birth path, name, and other aspects of the teachings of the principle, you get such a broader view of recognition of the uniqueness of each mind, their individual quality of expression, their perception, the way they look at life, the way they find fun. And some people would rather just have a book. Others require people. And so the study of human nature becomes much broader because as you recognize individuals' unique characteristics, then your perception of life grows for yourself as well.
Yes, that's so true. And really, we are here as humans for a purpose. We have a potential. All species in life have an instinctive potential and exist through the natural laws. But we as humans have to understand the conscious laws. And that's why that reference to the 5 basic truths are so important to understand. That of mathematics, language, name, mind, and consciousness. When we're given a name and we're part of life, what are we linked to? We have to be linked to some form of an alphabet or language. No matter what our color, race, or creed, what our background is, what our religious views are, we have to understand how to express the invisible forces of thought. So once we're given a name, we're actually linked to a vibrational pattern. And depending upon the mathematical qualities of that name, determine how we view life, how we respond, how we think, how we feel. And we are conscious of life as we are educated, but we're striving to be more conscious in life of the causative factor, whether it's family members, whether it's building relationships, marriage, business partnership. We want to be able to communicate and understand people to create the best desired results and to have success in our lives. But if we don't understand where our thoughts are coming from in the first place, how can we understand other people? We can observe. We can see characteristics. We know whether a person is lighthearted or whether they're more serious or more practical, more idealistic. You see those responses. And that's where the knowledge of this mathematical principle creates such a greater understanding of communication, of allowing us to be the true person that we're meant to be. And as was mentioned, there are so many characteristics that people draw from and express. But how do you know you're your true qualities? Or do we just accept who we are? Well, once you get your name report and discover that your qualities respond in a certain way, that you can actually change those qualities and build greater strengths and greater harmony. So many people have an inclination towards art or drama or music, but they end up attracting something that's so technical and practical, and they always feel like something's missing in their life, something is not being fulfilled. And that can change with an understanding of how to create the harmony between our mental thought pattern and our inner needs and desires and inclination. And with your name report, you'll understand how your month, day, and year of birth define a specific aspect of your way of looking at life. But it is just a potential. if it's not given a free-flowing expression through our mental thoughts and our expression. And when we understand that the name sets in motion that pattern, that is the foundation of the first introduction to the principles of the Kabbalah philosophy, of how your name influences your personality and the conditions that you attract, and how you can make changes to create the fulfillment and the harmony and the true relationship building. If you're married to someone that you just realize that they just have such a different approach, and yet you love the person, wouldn't you want to truly understand them to bring the higher side of that person out? But so often what happens is people, instead of growing together, they grow apart because they don't understand that there is a different need in the other person. But this principle would give you that knowledge and understanding to create true relationship building, true harmony with your family, your children, your business partners, your friends. And then you'd know why they respond the way they do and how to bring the higher side out of another person. So that's the key to create greater balance, greater harmony, and true fulfillment in one's life.
There's a quote here that's very relative to what you were discussing. It's from our life analysis training, and it says, if the wisdom of the mathematical principle were taught to married couples, it would create understanding. Weaknesses could then be pardoned, for there are weaknesses to be found in all numbers, and life is a continual struggle to bring out the higher side of human nature. People in different groups who are already joined in wedlock would understand why they do not see eye to eye. Thus, argument and friction could be avoided. Understanding of each other's strengths or weaknesses would create respect for each other's individuality. It would teach suppression of the animal nature so that their greatest ideal would be to live to create happiness in the lives of their partners. For the greatest happiness in life comes through service and not through selfishness. It's very relative to your thought about understanding their natures and understanding the makeup, and then working with a common ideal to evolve a higher expression of mind.
Life shouldn't be a mystery. We should have knowledge of the why. And this is what this philosophy has to offer. You can take these principles, apply it to yourself, apply it to other people, and realize that you will find greater direction and greater confidence in your plans and your decisions and your visions. We as humans are here for a true spiritual purpose, and that is to fulfill our reason for being, just like all species do naturally. We have to do it consciously. So we need to understand the laws that create conscious evolution and unfoldment in our life. And you would discover it is truly through the basic mathematical principle.
Any final comments, Marlowe?
We teach a universal principle, and with that, we recognize that every individual does have a unique and individual perspective from their mathematics. And as Dhorea mentioned, we want to then understand them and be able to assist them by recognizing their thinking, and it creates and builds that bond of friendship, that level of understanding that promotes growth and exchange of ideas, and then builds that energy of universality that we are growing to recognize, whether it's our partner, our business partner, whether it's our children. We're recognizing the uniqueness of that individual's expression and trying to draw out their highest nature through recognizing the mathematics involved and giving them that understanding.
Thank you for joining us this episode. Next week, we'll have another episode relative to relationships. So until then, happy thoughts. Whenever you're ready, here are 3 ways we can help you. Number 1, the Balanced Name Recommendation Service. Join the thousands of others who have harmonized their names with their inner potential to improve their health, happiness, and success. Number 2, learn the principles of mental freedom. Participate in our online training program to gain the essential tools to create all the progressive changes you seek in your life. These proven truths will open up new perspectives and accelerate your attainment of health, happiness, and success. Number 3, let Kalex Solutions help you choose a balanced name for your business because many business names are an impediment to one's overall business success.